What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. Beautiful day. A little bit crispy, but comfortable. Comfortable. Feels like fall, and it should. Clear skies. We have a bit of a breeze, but it's makes you feel nice and cozy. You know, a couple of birds flying. So, went to Starbucks a few minutes ago. Baby coffee. I did not feel like a big one. Usually I get a big one, but being that it's a bit late in the day, I'm planning on sleeping tonight, so I don't want to be up wired. And 90% of the time it doesn't do anything for me, like if I have coffee late. But once in a while, I don't know, the caffeine goes through the blood-brain barrier and penetrates deep inside, keeps me up. I rarely have insomnia, rarely now, so, but it does happen. I feel like that's like a reset night. You have that insomnia and then you're okay again for many months. But every once in a while you'll go through that, I can't sleep tonight. And I don't know what you do. I mean, I don't like lying there and just looking at the ceiling. Best thing to do is go around, roam around the house. Or, my favorite pastime, go around the neighborhood when you can't sleep with a measuring, like a yardstick or something, and just measure things. That'll get your mind nice and bored and you'll go into a nice deep sleep eventually. So, got the coffee, like I said. And my daughter made cookies last night. So I'm gonna have a cookie, chocolate chip. I saw yesterday Jacqueline Smith had a birthday. 80 years old. Tough to imagine these, but they were popular in the 70s, so I guess it's possible, but it's tough to imagine them 80 years old. 80 years old. They were the hotties, Charlie's Angels on television. They barely weighed 105 pounds together, but they show them in the opening credits where they're doing, I don't know what it is, karate or judo or something, and they're, beating up men that are double their size. So they were that good. But I used to watch this show, Bosley, he knew everything. He knew who Charlie was, and he would get the information, like we got a case, and then Charlie would be on that old-fashioned speaker for the phone. But yeah, she looks very good for 80. I don't know if she's tinkered a little bit at a doctor's office, but even that, she doesn't look like an old woman. I don't know, maybe if you look at the hands give it away. I don't know, there's not much you can do with the hands. But Christy Brinkley, they always show her and they say, oh, look at her, like 73, I don't know what she is. And she looks so young until you look at her hands, and then her hands do not match the face. It's good to have hands that match your face or the face that matches the hands. But you don't want to have 90-year-old hands and 50-year-old face. Just something about it throws people off. So she tends to wear these long, that cover this area. But when you see this area, I don't know, obviously there's nothing you can do about that. Otherwise, she would have done it, right? So, yeah, I don't know why the hands get beat up like that. They should use Palmolive. That's what they recommended that in the 70s, so you use Palmolive so your hands stay nice and supple. They always had that woman, what was her name, Rosie? Somebody like that. And she had a bowl with palm olive in it. And she'd tell the woman, put your hands in there. And then, wow, they'd rinse them and they'd be nice and soft. So, anyway, I was a fan of this show. Every once in a while I will drive by the building that they used for the exterior shots, where they worked, or their offices, whatever. Kate Jackson, Farrah Fawcett. What kind of name is that, Fawcett? Farrah Fawcett. Farrah. I don't think many people name their kids Farrah, even when she was popular. I mean, there may have been a few say we're going to have a daughter. We're going to name her Farrah. Farrah Fawcett. And then she married Lee Majors, became Farrah Fawcett Majors. He had on a couple episodes of the $6 Million Man. He said, come here, we need somebody. And one of them, she was an astronaut. The other one, I think she was like a reporter or something. A little bit on the ridiculous side when it came to acting. She had that little high-pitched voice when she would talk and try and be, sexy. But, the 70s shows had a different style of acting. In today's world, that acting would not pass. You get like an F+ on that. I was actually at Farrah's funeral. I have a video on that, not inside, but I was across the street when they were all arriving. And I was there when all that was going on. The news was there. She was very popular. She had that calendar that came out. And then Jimmy Walker, he saw that and he went over to Thelma, Bernadette, and he said to her, you know what, you should do something like that. And she should have. Very attractive Thelma. Thelma was very attractive, and she still looks good. And she's got to be in her 70s, I don't know, late 60s, but very, very, very good looking. Yeah, they should have had a calendar of her. I would have bought that calendar. I never bought the Farrah one. And then there was a story, probably not true. It probably started off in the National Enquirer, but there were Farrah's losing her hair. She's washing with soap, regular soap for the body. And I remember being a kid hearing that, and I'm like, does she not know that? How can I get in contact with her to let her know that the soap is making her lose her hair? I don't know who came up with that she was losing her hair. Her hair was fine, but anyway, she was very popular. And then, she started slipping a little bit later on in life. Remember that episode, that show, David Letterman, when she was on that? She was a little bit off on that. And then Kate Jackson, I don't know whatever happened to her. But I liked Jacqueline. They put them together when they were a fighting team of investigators. So yeah, a lot of good shows back then. Hawaii Five-0, Jack Lord, Steve McGarrett. I love that show. And of course, the $6 Million Man. But yeah, a lot of good stuff. You appreciate those shows, especially the $6 Million Man, more when you're a kid than now. Now I see it and I go, it's a little asinine. But I still want to meet Lee Majors. I feel like, that has to happen for me to settle down a little bit. I'm always looking around and go, where's Lee Majors? I want to tell him, and I'm sure he's heard a million times, I want to tell him I was a huge fan of the show and yours. I sent away for back then you could write, if you could find out the studio they were behind, or the studio that was behind them, you'd write a letter. For example, Universal. I wrote a letter to Universal, said, to whom this may concern, please send me some Lee Majors fan club stuff. And they did. I got a picture. I got a little ID thing. I got a sticker. And that sticker, so, I was a kid back then, little. And I was trying to find a place that sticker could last the duration of time, until my life ended. And I go, where can I put this? I can't put it on the wall. Eventually my mother will tear it down, will paint, something will happen. I can't put it in a drawer. Eventually it'll get lost. So I had this oak chair, and it had a lion's head stamped metal in the back. And I remember I got on my back, and I went under the chair, and I stuck it underneath. And the funny thing is, that chair My sister has it in her house now, but that chair still exists, and the sticker is underneath. So I made a good decision on where to put that. If I put it anywhere else, it would have ended up in the garbage. But yeah, I was a big fan of that show. Everything about it, spoke to me. The bionic guy, when they were handling it, I don't know if everybody felt that way, but there was a feeling that would arise in me when I would see the credits to that, the opening credits, and the end credits also gave me a feeling inside. Anything that gave me a feeling was a good show to me. The Odd Couple did that too. I don't know why, but it did. That theme song, when I would hear it, that made me think, like, where are we? What's going on here? How do we get here? What's all this? What's the universe all about? And I would always think about that, and then I would think about, like getting older and ending up like those two did in some apartment in New York. But yeah, there's certain shows that give you a feeling, and then when you see them later in life, for a brief moment, they give you that feeling back. Your brain regenerates that feeling, and you feel it again. But yeah, $6 Million Man was one of those. I used to love everything about that. He had this superhuman thing about him that nobody knew about until he opened up his big mouth. Almost every show he revealed it. They're like, what's going on with you? And he's like, bionics. And they'd be like, oh. Even there's one, the Russian, what's his name, Gary Collins plays a Russian counterpart to his, and like they're friends. And then he saves him or something, like I think a beam or something is falling. Wow, there's the birds falling from a building, and Steve Austin goes and stops it, and then he's looking at it, he's like, how'd you do that? He's like, come on, he goes, me and you have been friends, we've been open with each other, let me know. And Steve Austin says, bionics. Can't keep a secret. Can't keep a secret. They should have told him, you know what, if you open your mouth one more time and tell people about the bionics, we're going to take them, and you're going to be paralyzed in bed because you got a big mouth. You're making yourself a target. One day they're going to kidnap you and reverse engineer the bionics. I'm surprised they never had that as part of the, where they find out because of his big mouth that he's bionic. They kidnap him, and then he wakes up and his arm, his eye, his two legs are missing, and then room over, the next room over, they have these scientists taking the stuff apart and reverse engineering it. Scientists from Pakistan. Yeah, he always told people, he's like, I'm bionic. I'm telling him, you got a big mouth. Big mouth. So, yeah, I don't know why he kept telling people, but Oscar should have stressed it. He should have said, listen, you can't tell anybody. They're going to kidnap you, and they're going to steal your bionics and kill you after. It's not that hard. How hard is it? You have a dart gun to knock out an elephant. You put a little bit of a lower dose, and you shoot him in the head and the neck, and you knock him out. You remove all the stuff, and then you throw him in an alley somewhere to wake up. Or you call an ambulance. You say, we got a guy here, he's missing 2 legs, an arm, and an eye. And he was radioactive. They did a Geiger counter, and he was sending off radiation. I don't know if that's good. It's not good. I see a sparrow on the wire. Yep. But like I said, now you see all the mistakes, the ridiculous things they did with the bionics. For example, there's an episode where the elevator doors open, the people get in, and then the elevator cable snaps. The doors are, I guess he opens them, but the cable snaps and it's falling, and then Steve Austin runs in slow motion, grabs the cable as it's sliding through his hands with all that friction, because that metal, closet, that weighs a few tons, and he's holding it. This 175-pound man somehow is holding this thing, and then he's squeezing hard, And instead of the arm getting pulled out of the socket or the fingers melting or something getting destroyed from all that pressure, he stops the elevator. He doesn't even get pulled in. I mean, you're 175 pounds. How are you holding something that's like 4 tons or whatever? But when you're a kid, you don't analyze like that. You just look at it and go, that was amazing. There's another one where he stops a car, he's in the back seat, the drivers jump out, it's going downhill, and then he sticks his leg out with his dress shoes and stops the car on the asphalt. He just keeps pressing down. My bride messaging me. All right. Apparently she needs information from me, so I'm going to end it here for now and go inside and investigate what the situation is, what's going on. Anyway, that's it for now. Ciao.